Hello there, kia ora. Yesterday, the urban MPs for Botany and Ohariu decided to cosplay as farmers at Farmageddon 2024. The Field Days 2024. Sorry, Armageddon is also on this weekend. I get the two mixed up because you have one group of people who are really into things like science fiction and fantasy, and you get another group of people where there's a large chunk of them who really do believe in a fantasy world where climate change doesn't exist. Really easy to get the two confused, but I know which one I'm going to this weekend. It's the one without all the mud, hopefully. And aliens. They're fun. But in Hamilton, at Field Days 2024, the government made an announcement around setting up an inquiry into banking. This was actually part of the promise that was made with the coalition agreement for New Zealand First. And there's a couple of really fascinating things here to look at. But it also raises an interesting question, like, are we going to trust any kind of inquiry from the party into banking that gave us John Key? John Key? I mean, who knows? But beyond that, there's a couple of other things that pop up here that's really kind of interesting. The particular focus on this inquiry is to look really specifically at banking around the farming sector. And while it would be great to have it expanded, and it's quite possible that that might happen as part of this inquiry, it's not really the primary focus to begin with. And there's a whole bunch of different issues that crop up there because farming and banking, when they work together, have a whole bunch of different criteria and rules than if you were borrowing for a home or borrowing for another kind of business. There's large amounts of equity involved, for example, and a really interesting level of risk that comes with it. But at the same time, this is a coalition agreement not because there was a huge amount of concern about the banks making tons of money, which there should be, because greedflation is a big problem and banks are one of the big drivers for that. No, it's because a whole bunch of Winston's Cooker conspiracy theorist followers want to make sure that cash is around for as long as humanly possible, so that there's no such thing as some digital ID or forced digital currency, so that money is always going to be something you physically have to handle. Not that I'd want to touch money that they've handled. Ooh, gross. But that is what the big driver is behind this. So we see it a lot in the comment section everywhere that New Zealand First was crowing about this particular update yesterday. It's weird and it's out there. And the fact that it is so focused on farming is kind of interesting. It's just another way of pandering to the farmers that National is really, really good at, while also ticking off a box for New Zealand First, and therefore kind of pandering to conspiracy theorists at the same time. It is very weird. But you know what? I think I've said enough about this topic. I'm actually going to pass this over to Blake, who's got some thoughts around this and what he's hoping that this inquiry is going to lead to in terms of banking and the disability sector. Over to you, Blake.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I just want to give my 2 cents on this one. As someone in the disability community who's been using a bank now for the last 5 to 6 years, one positive thing that I hope the committee find out of this is for easier access for disabled people to get signed on to the bank. See, in 2018, when I signed on to the bank, I had to sign on to a family member's account because Westpac Bank was the only bank willing to take me on, because other banks needed a full signature, and it's very hard as a disabled person who can't write to provide a full signature. So if there's anything positive to come out of this inquiry, I hope that they can make it easier for people with disabilities to be able to join the bank on their own and not have to tack on to their mums and dads' bank account. Even though I get my own name, it's still technically under my family member. So I hope that can be resolved. Or they can make it more accommodative for someone with a disability to be able to get their own version of a signature and not have to be so pedantic. So that's something I would like to see. Anyway, that's all I wanted to contribute. Bye for now.
Before you go, tonight on the BFG Podcast YouTube channel, which is Blake's YouTube channel, he's got an exclusive interview with me and Sam Summers from It's in the Ballot Productions. Blake wanted to learn a little bit more about the select committee process because, well, it's an interesting process to get involved in, and Sam and I both submitted on the removal of Māori wards bill. But they were both very different processes. Mine was on Zoom and all sort of pre-prepared, and Sam was in person, and he's really good at doing these things on the fly. I had to deal with Jamie Arbuckle and his very quiet, non-responsive committee, and Sam got the very dreamy-looking James Meager and whoever the hell else was on his committee. So it was a really different experience for both of us. So Blake sat us down and had a bit of a chat about what was going on, what the processes were like, and how other people can get involved. So if you want to know what it's like behind the scenes to learn a little bit about select committees and how they work, definitely tune into that 7:30 tonight over on the BFG podcast, totally exclusive to there. Or if this is something you're watching in the future, go and check out the channel because the interview should still be there unless we've had to deal with the inevitable fall of humankind, which I don't think it's scheduled until next week sometime. So yeah, go check out the channel, go check out that video. Wait, you're still here? It's over. Go find another video.